More rain from Harvey is making flooding worse in southeast Texas. One America's Trey Yingst is in Houston, where rescue operations are continuing. What do you have for me, Trey?
That's right. Search and rescue operations are underway here in Houston, Texas. If you look behind me, this is a residential neighborhood. We are currently in a boat on a street that goes down the middle of that neighborhood. And as you can see, the tops of cars and vans just peeking out here above the edge of the water. We've been with a crew from Fort Worth, Texas today, and another gentleman from Houston. And people have been traveling from all over the country here to Houston to try to help the residents that are trapped. And like I said, this is very much still a search and rescue operation. There are hundreds of boats in the water today in the streets of Houston trying to ensure that people can get to safety. We do know that the death toll in the Hurricane Harvey flooding has now risen to over 20 people, including a police officer. But really, the streets of Houston look much like this. And it's not just Houston. We've been hearing reports from all over southeast Texas of flooding, just like you see behind me. And as we go through these streets, we're hearing calls for help. The crew that we are with right now in this boat carrying water with them. There's many people that haven't had access to food and water for days. They're in desperate need of help here in Houston, and hoping that the federal government in Washington and those politicians on Capitol Hill are going to be able to send them the aid that they need to recover from this deadly storm.
Trey, the conditions there look like rain has kind of cleared up there in Houston for now, but what is the forecast looking ahead for this area?
So this area has certainly cleared up. The concern here is the bayous around here. Right now we are actually in part of the Buffalo Bayou that really snakes its way throughout Houston. Now this normal bayou would never come over its banks. We've talked to a number of people who said they've lived here for 20 years and have never seen flooding like they are seeing today. But like I said, this is still a very active situation. The waters continue to rise despite the fact that the rain has stopped. And the big concern for officials, local and state here in Houston, is that they're not going to be able to get to these people on time. A lot of these people have been without food and water for a number of days now, and they're just now being rescued. We're going to be out with this crew the rest of the day to observe some of the rescues that they are taking part in. Very quickly here, I want to talk to Stephen, who's from Houston. He's been out here rescuing people all day. Stephen, talk to me about what you've seen out here. What are people going through?
Complete devastation. This city and its occupants have lost everything. About 40% of the county, Harris County alone, is underwater. We've never seen anything like this. It's worse than Allison. It's worse than the tax day floods. It's the worst.
I've seen a number of people get into boats around here. When you do rescue someone from their neighborhood, from their home, what sorts of things have they been saying to you?
You know, there have been a mixture of emotions. Some are happy, some are crying, some are hungry, some don't say anything at all. Just complete shock.
Stephen, thank you so much. As you can see there, a number of rescuers out here, Stephen included, from Houston, trying to not only help themselves and their families who may be trapped in this flooding, but also help their neighbors.
Trey, a quick note for our viewers here. That water that you're in, of course, is a street. So underneath that water, what people might forget is there's things like fire hydrants, there's things like curbs, there's all the manhole covers have floated away. And so when people are walking through these streets or even driving their boats through these streets, those conditions there on the bottom can change very rapidly. How does that affect these rescue efforts, especially for these boats that are driving through these flooded streets?
Well, that's exactly right. Officials are saying to residents, stay put, wait to be rescued. We've been listening to police radios and also walkie-talkie frequencies that have been used by rescuers this morning, and calls are coming in all over southeast Texas. There's a lot of concern here for people who are not going to be able to get the help that they need on time. But like you said, when you look at these rising water levels, there's 8 feet of water right down the road here. And I say road, not river. This is a road. You can see the tops of vans, the waves that are being made by boats. But officials telling residents of Houston, do not get in the water. It is a lot deeper than it appears. And we've seen that for ourselves, people hopping out of these boats today and getting into 7 or 8 feet of water. And really what would be a normal road, a normal neighborhood, really turning into a river here in Houston in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey.
All right, there's Trey Yingst live there from Houston with a look at the devastating floods that are impacting southeast Texas. He's going to be there for at least the rest of today, hopefully the rest of the week, so we'll continue to check in with him on those conditions there. Thanks so much, Trey.